Hello, nice to virtually meet you. I'm Scott and I course lead politics here at Huddersfield New College. Over the next few slides, I'm just going to give you a brief overview of what we teach on our course and ultimately what we get up to on it. The structure of the A-level politics course takes into consideration the fact that you have never studied it before. It doesn't exist as a GCSE, and so therefore students are new to the study of political science, and therefore the qualification takes this into account. The course on the whole consists of 3 paper topics. These are fully examined and equally weighted at 33.3% each. A basic interest in current affairs and an inquisitive mind is fundamental. Politics is a live subject, and therefore students are expected to have a commanding understanding of what is going on both in British politics and across the rest of the world. Now that doesn't mean having to read lots of newspapers. The way we access our news and current affairs has evolved since then, and students are thoroughly encouraged to use a broad range of media to access their news and events. So what do we actually study then? Well, as I've already said, the first year of your A-level takes into account the fact that you've never studied it before. Therefore, the topics that we study are pretty much bread and butter British political topics. In your first year, you will study Paper 1, UK Politics, looking at democracy and participation, looking at themes such as the role of pressure groups and controversial questions such as, is it ever justified to ever break the law in the name of a political cause? We'll be looking at political parties such as the history of the Labour, Conservative and Liberal Democrat Party and how their ideas have changed over the last couple of decades. We will be looking at electoral systems such as our current first past the post that helps us elect MPs to Westminster, through to proportional systems such as the electoral systems that we see in our devolved assemblies in the Scottish and Welsh Parliament, and voting behaviour. Why do people vote the way they do? Is it based on their class, gender, age, region, or is it a mixture of all of those? Then we move on to UK government, looking at how, from a more technical perspective, British politics is governed. We look at the role of constitutions, what kind of constitution we have in the UK, the role of Parliament, including the House of Commons and the House of Lords, and including a rather enjoyable parliamentary role-play session in order for students to understand the role and functions of such parliamentary chambers. We look at the role of Prime Minister and Cabinet, and the notion of sovereignty and our relationship with the EU. In our second year, we start to take a little bit more of an international and ideological approach, because in our second year we return to Paper 1, but this time looking at the core ideologies that have shaped our understanding of politics and the world in which we live in today. We look at liberalism, conservatism, socialism, focusing on core thinkers, core principles and key tensions within each group. On Paper 2 we look at ecologism, a highly relevant concept considering the environmental protests that are going on in Western societies at the moment. And then in Paper 3 we take an international approach, looking at the rise of global politics, focusing on political and economic governance, environmental governance and human rights across the world, globalization in the state, and finally power and how power is distributed throughout the global system. Politics is very much a contemporary subject, and therefore students are expected to respond to the major political developments as they happen. Suffice to say, there has never been a more dramatic and relevant time to study politics. This was particularly demonstrated last Christmas when snap election fever hit the politics course. Students organised a hustings event where they quizzed the Colne Valley parliamentary candidates, as you can see from the picture at the top. And then they staged a mock election day for all students across the college to participate in. And we turned one of our buildings into a polling station, complete with private polling booths and ballot papers. And then on election night itself, politics students staged an all-nighter at the college as we watched those historical results come in. A-level politics is a highly valued and respected degree and can open you up to a whole range of future career paths and a whole range of university courses such as social policy, sociology, international relations, law, history, global development, and so on and so forth. Just take Gemma for example. If you've enjoyed that and want to find out more, or even experience an actual taster session, virtually speaking of course, then come and join us on Wednesday the 9th of December. Please find more details about this event on the college website. I look forward to seeing you then.